My father has died. That was a month ago. My father passed away on 22nd January 2026 at the age of 67. He would have turned 68 on 23rd April. I got this confirmation when my sister told me about it, and she found this out through our uncle, who in turn got this news from Facebook. Under normal circumstances, the family of the deceased would arrange the funeral and pay last respects. I will do no such thing. Not for my late father. He deserved none of that from us. So then, why am I doing this video? Because I want to get this out of my chest. This has been decades in the making, and really, I had been waiting for this day. So this is the first and the last time I'll talk about my late father in any of my videos. My father wasn't a good man. He was everything a father and a man should not be. He was a serial liar, womanizer, cheater, fraud, gambler, and a financial parasite. There was this time my father owed money to the loan sharks for his gambling debts. They could not find my father, so they looked for my mother at her workplace. The continued harassment resulted in my mother having to quit her job and find another elsewhere. So yes, that was the father I knew growing up as a child. He was hardly at home, not because he was hard at work, but juggling a simultaneous marriage with a second and a third wife. My mother discovered his infidelity in 1996 when I was 10 years old. We found out that even he had a son with the third wife, who is 8 years my junior. Despite the discovery, my mother chose to forgive him on grounds of her newfound religious belief as a Catholic. Even though we, myself, my sister, and our relatives, we felt that she was letting him off the hook. And true enough, her mercy was rewarded with an unrepentant, evil, and bolded behavior to continue seeing the other family. And when he gave us money, it was after begging and pleading, and it was just barely to get by. My mother is not a highly educated person. She earned a clerk's pay of just 1,500 to 1,700 ringgit a month to support me and my sister, who was still schooling. So my father would regularly threaten to cut off financial aid if my mother didn't comply, gave him a hard time, or step out of line. Okay, he had also physically abused us as children, even though as I got older, he stopped doing that for obvious reason. Okay, however, he will continue to do that on and off with my mother and my sister. All right, that one night, on one of his random fit of rage and drunkenness, I too had enough. I was 16 at the time, and I had gotten back from a late hockey practice at school. So for the first time in my life, I took the fight to my father. And that was what triggered the divorce in November 2002, finalized on paper 2003. So my father made the declaration, signed the papers, even though my mother did not want to. Okay, so this explains why I left high school at SMK Damansara Jaya halfway through that year, ended up in London for a while, and I finished my Form 5 as a substitute student in SMK Gelang Patah, Johor Bahru. Even after the divorce, he didn't give us the regular financial aid as stated in the agreement. All right. So in fact, when I was earning my first salary from my office boy job, he borrowed the sum from me. In fact, I didn't want to give, but I relented because my mother said that he's still your father, and again, in the name of forgiveness. And when I made several requests months later to ask for my money back, he did so, but not without throwing a fit about it. I did not keep it. I should have. But when this happened, he wrote a barrage of SMS messages to me, threatening to find someone to kill me. All right, and this happened in 2004. All right, I had to tolerate it because one, I too needed what little money there was, and number two, at the time, I was also about to embark on my online business journey, and I needed every cent to take off. This was a pivotal moment because clearly he was not funding my college education. So I had to choose between financing my own college semester and taking a chance with starting an internet business, which was considered unusual at the time. It was a secret to him that I did not reveal what I was doing at the time. Plus, I too wasn't even sure how this would pan out. So if anyone wonders my obsession with make money, my finances, my prime motivation at the time was so that we didn't have to be threatened or get manipulated by my father ever again. So looking back, the divorce was a blessing. Yes, it was hard for us initially, my mother, my sister, and I, but that forced us to learn how to be independent, resourceful, and not rely on my unreliable father. Okay. I also imagine that if he had stayed on with us, things would have taken for a worse turn. All right. And so far, I've given you the shorthand version of what my late father was like. Physically, we last met in the year 2004. He did try to re-enter our lives 2 years later in 2006 when he SMS'd my sister and mother at a time when my online business had already taken off. My sister knew to ignore him, but my mother is gullible. She wanted to return his call, and this time I forbade her. All right? Because every time we forgive him, he will become more emboldened, unrepentant, and honestly, we will be fools again to do so. And interestingly, he did not message me. All right? My number hasn't changed since my teens, and this was way before WhatsApp existed. Okay, so when Facebook came along, one of the first things I did was to look up my father's name. I found out he has two accounts, and I blocked them. And it stayed that way from the year 2007 to this day. In fact, when I wrote my first will with my estate planner way back in 2008, I made special mention to exclude my father from it, and that hasn't changed. So we carried on with life, and as time passed, I thought of him less and less. I'm not going to pretend though. I had fantasized ways of brutalizing him, killing him. He was a bottom tier scumbag of a human being. If law ceased to exist, I know who's the first person I want to visit. But of course, it would be foolish to pursue such a revenge because I have a career and future ahead of me. And also, knowing my father's character, his habits were self-destructive, it would be his own undoing. So I did not need to lift a finger. Interestingly, fast forward to the late 2024, I discovered that my father had sent some messages through my inactive Facebook page. I was unaware of it until I checked the inbox spam folder at random. The first message dated way back to 2021. Okay, and even then it was sketchy. Yeah, without context, he merely wrote, "I hope this message finds you. This is my number, redacted. Appreciate you asked mom to call me." And that was it. No apology, no acknowledgement of his past deeds, at least at this point. And then again in 2024, 3 years later, this time there is a series of messages. "I followed what you're doing and proud you did it on your own. This is my second chance. My health is not good and I am one eye blind. I wish to meet mom and beg her forgiveness before I go. I stay at redacted location in SS2, phone number redacted. Thank you." Next, "You are my firstborn. I have a vast collection of fine art from some known artists and wish you would take over. All these become meaningless to me and may be of some value as compensation to you and Ashley," that being my sister. Okay, "I want to make peace and go in peace. Hope you can grant me this." All right, and then 2 months later, "Sorry for those bad years I gave to mom and yourself and Ashley." Okay, a bit of acknowledgement there. "I know it is unforgivable. I am dying and okay, I think he probably meant to say wish. Wish to make peace with mom and all before I go. I still stay at the redacted location." Followed by a photo of him warded in a hospital. Okay, continue. "I am glad you have done very well. I am proud you did it on your own. Very handsome and bright looking." Followed by, he pasted one of my photos that he must have taken from one of my Facebook page. Take note that when I saw all these messages, it was months later. Yeah, but my response, I blocked him there too. Okay, there's nothing to say. Unlike my personal Facebook, my FB page of the same name is still public. All right. So under other circumstances, this would have made a wholesome father-son proud moment. But unfortunately, this is not one of those stories. Okay. And him being proud of me is irrelevant. I don't need his approval. He was never there for the journey. There is no benefit, advantage, or good in forgiving people like that, even if they are your own flesh and blood. And as a child, I've watched him take advantage of women, especially the successful ones. The second wife was a lawyer. The third wife was a remiser. Yeah, and he leached onto their wealth and property, and his money mostly ill-gotten gains. He lived a life of borrowing money, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Yeah, and even after his divorce with my mother, and he was done with the other two wives at the time, he had also quickly moved on to another relationship with another woman in her mid-30s, named with help, a bird nest seller. Okay, she was an up-and-coming career woman, yeah, and she too got undone by my late father. Okay, how did he have these successful women under a spell? I have no idea. It is a skill I did not inherit from him, so it remains a mystery even to me. But basically, he presented himself as a successful businessman with connections, yeah? And but in reality, he lived life like a parasite. Okay, so to fully recite all the horrible things he had done will take a whole day, whole night, jogging my memory. It is said that one should not speak ill of the dead. But when he was alive, he wasn't a reliable narrator. So you have only my words to rely on. But at least my accounts can be corroborated with my sister and mother, who are still alive as well. Okay, fast forward to recent events. I received 3 private messages from strangers on that same inactive Facebook page concerning my father. One, without any context, he showed me 3 photos of my father on a hospital bed. Not like the first one I told you about, but this time it's like worse for wear. There are 2 more anonymous accounts, means not real name, not real picture. They are asking if I know this man, mentioning my father. So even they were not very clear about it, yeah, or our connection perhaps. And that was when I decided to just unpublish that Facebook page, because really, I wanted nothing to do with this, okay, or nothing to do with him. Plus, my last impression was that I thought he was dying in 2024. So at this point, honestly, I could not tell if this was a genuine or not. And I think that's the problem with living a life of lies. People can't take your words seriously anymore. And that is why the story of the boy who cried wolf needs to be told to every generation. Finally, he did kick the bucket at University Hospital, Petaling Jaya, the same place I was born. So I am unsure if this is a coincidence or is it poetic, but if you think about it, my father died where I was born. So I received this confirmation news from my sister. At the time, I was holding my AI business intensive class over Zoom. So from what I gathered in the comment section, he had left behind a pile of hospital bills amounting to 40,000 Malaysian ringgits. That resulted in complications to release his body from the morgue. Although I understand that it was released in the end, I'm not sure how. Maybe he got some financing from his friends. Okay, and look, I do not know if this was the reason why his contacts, or I assume his friends, were trying to reach out to me. Was it an urgent invitation to see him off one last time? Was it to help foot those bills and finance the funeral? I don't want to find out. Legally, he has been estranged from us since 2004. That was 22 years ago. Even as a child, my father was not proud of me. He said a lot of mean, discouraging things to me and about me, long before I made sense of the world and get a chance to prove my worth. There were no photos of us together as a family, at least not that I have any recollection on. So from the time we broke away from him, life had been much, much better. So no, even with his passing, I do not want to have anything to do with him. And from what I understand, he was in and out of hospital in the last couple of years of his life. And some time ago, he also underwent a heart bypass surgery. So in his waning days, I imagine he must have experienced like a lot of excruciating pain and torment. It was a horrific way of growing up. I'm not going to pretend. He died the way I had hoped. And I'm not going to be apologetic about feeling that way. Scums like him had it coming. I have refrained from naming my father because no one in their right mind wants to be known as a son of a con man or a son of a womanizer. And I did not make this immediate announcement about it on my social media because I did not want it to be a lightning rod for condolences to someone who doesn't deserve it. Just as well, I was on a wait and see for any fallouts, conclusions perhaps. But I did, however, tell a few of my close friends about what had just happened. Naturally, my mom also know about it. We all knew it together. However, you know, my friends, being the sensible people that they are, that you guys are, they advised that I should still respect him on the basis that he was my father. If you're watching this, I want to ask you, what do you think of a man or a father who threatens to kill his own son? What do you think of a man who does the things that my father had done? Or when he took photos of another woman with her crotch exposed, half naked at the bottom, yeah, all right, and frame it as a computer desktop wallpaper for his teenage children to see. I don't know how. I'm talking about the burnt nest lady, by the way. Yeah? I don't know how that woman was manipulated into taking that particular camera shot. My sister and I saw it. We were teenagers at the time, and it was disgusting. Would you even want to be associated with anyone like that? So for all he had done, I'm surprised he didn't get arrested or had any legal action taken against him by any of the women. Not that I'm aware of. Maybe he had the devil's luck. But then he did all this at a time before social media. So, yeah, I'm glad that he's gone. His story has ended. And after so many years, decades actually, his death has abated my anger. I read some of the comments or condolences about him, that he was a nice man, a good man who loved art, well-read, knowledgeable, smart. I do not deny those qualities about him, and I won't invalidate their experience with him as well. He might have changed for the better, or that was also him. We can both be right about the same person, all right? It's just that that was not the version of my late father that I got to know. Now, I'm not entirely heartless. I do feel something sad. Sad that he made a lot of wrong choices in his life, many of which could have been avoided. How could someone be so smart and intelligent and yet so foolish? I'm of the belief that there are some mistakes in life you don't have to make to learn the lesson. And one's death should not automatically absolve them of their past wrongdoings. So, if you have a good or great father, I envy you. Cherish him. Some of us wish we can choose our parents. And if you are a father or a mother, you can take this as a cautionary tale. Yeah? I am not a father, but I am the son of an irresponsible one. You may think that you can get away with it today, but your child will one day come of age and reason. They don't have to wait to be adults to know right from wrong. If you don't take care of your children when they are young, you don't be surprised where they won't be there for you when it's your time to go. Yeah, I just want to get this out of my chest and move on with the rest of my life. Show's over. Carry on.